We need Ms. Denham. And Mr. Noble.
Did you get an advice of rights release? Okay, have you signed it? Yes.
First matter is People versus Christopher Andrew Colgrove. This is file number 2107118. The matter's been set for pretrial. Ms. Denholm, are you aware of any resolution of this matter?
Yes, Your Honor. I spoke with Mr. Noble about this on Friday. He has offered a plea of operating while intoxicated first offense, which Mr. Colgrove will accept.
Thank you.
No, I have a meeting with her. Yeah.
We are initiating a new procedure because of the the protected personal identifying information law in this matter. And with every complaint is a personal protected identifying information sheet attached to each complaint that lists the date of birth and other statistical information. So in the future, if you could see that you get a copy of that and have your client review it before court, I can ask him or her whether or not they've reviewed the identifying information report, and if they assert that the information contained in that is true. Basically, at this point, it includes the full name, date of birth, possibly the driver's license number or state ID number, and the last 4 digits of a social security number. This allows the court then to confirm that the individual before the court is the same individual. And Mr. Noble, if you could make sure that with every packet you give the defense that you furnish them with a copy of the protected personal identifying sheet.
Okay.
Then that would allow me to, by reference, establish that the person who's sitting in the defendant's seat is in fact the defendant.
I will do my best to make sure we start doing that. It's a new change in the rules there.
Right.
We're trying to adapt to.
It's not quite effective yet. It's been postponed, so I'm going to continue with the old procedure today.
Okay.
After today, I'd like to proceed with the new. Please state your full name, sir.
Christopher Andrew Colgrove.
Is your mailing address 213 North Houghton Avenue, Manistee?
Yes.
And what is your date of birth?
4/20/1988.
Thank you. Did you receive the advice of rights form today?
Yes.
Did you read and understand all the rights listed on that form?
Yes.
And then did you sign and date it?
Yep.
Do you understand by accepting the plea agreement and pleading guilty to operating while intoxicated first offense that you'll be giving up all the rights listed on the advice of rights form and there will not be a trial of any kind?
I understand.
On behalf of your client, Ms. Denholm, what plea does he wish to offer to operating while intoxicated first?
Defendant offers a plea of guilty.
Is that guilty plea entered with your consent?
Yes.
Other than the plea agreement as stated here today on the record, has anybody promised you anything in exchange to get you to plead guilty?
No, sir.
Has anyone threatened or forced you to get you to plead guilty?
Nope.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily and of your own choice?
Yes.
Were you operating a vehicle on County Road 442 back on July 24th in the city of Manistee when this happened?
Yep.
What type of vehicle were you operating?
Chevy Impala.
Was this your vehicle?
Yeah.
And do you know why the police got involved with you at that time?
Because I was speeding.
Did you have any alcoholic beverages to drink before you went driving?
Last night and earlier that day.
Okay. How much did you drink over that time period?
Bunch of beer. I can't really put a number on it.
Substantial quantity of beer?
Yeah.
What
Not
kind?
below double the limit. So,
What kind of beer was it?
Bush Heavy.
And did you take a blood test?
Yeah.
Did you find out what the results were?
I don't know what the results are.
Do you have that, Mr. Noble?
We probably, Your Honor, don't have those back. I'm just checking the file. We're not even at, we're right at about the 2-week mark, which is about normally when we get them back. We don't have those. However, we do have, if I recall, the PBT on this one.
It's a .165.
Yeah, there's a PBT 165. I don't expect the blood to come below that. Well, not significantly anyways.
All right, okay. Are you satisfied with the record?
I am.
Are you also?
Yes, I am.
The court is satisfied that your guilty plea was knowingly, voluntarily, and understandably made, that there is an accurate factual basis that warrants a finding of guilty because on the date and location alleged in the complaint, you drank a substantial quantity of beer, that your blood alcohol was over the legal limit, and that you did operate a motor vehicle. Therefore, a judgment of guilty to OWI first will be rendered. Have you had a screening for substance abuse yet?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know what the reason?
Or no, not. I'm getting hold of Lisa today. She called me back. I left a message with her.
Okay, so you're gonna set up an
Yeah.
appointment. Good. Do that. In the meantime, you're on a sober link. Have you been complying with that?
Yeah.
We did have a couple of positive tests.
Yeah, it made me retest a few times. I don't know why I even come down to the jail that night that it was doing it to me, just to show and prove that I was doing the test and it wasn't doing it right.
Okay, so you confirmed that.
Yeah.
And have you had the PBT or the sober link changed out? Or is it just working now?
It's been working fine. Last night I messed up a little bit. It would make it retest. But other than that, once in a while it does that.
All right, if it should show you a positive test, you need to report to the jail immediately. Like, how far away do you live from the jail?
I live in town.
Okay, so you'll have to be at the jail within 15 minutes to test, and if it keeps doing that, we'll
If
swap
it
it
tells
out.
if you make me retest, go to the jail. It doesn't say if it fails or not. It doesn't tell me.
Well, if, like, let me put it another way. Let's say on August 1st, it showed a .02
Right.
on 2 different occasions. One at 10:07 and one at 10:42.
Yeah, them were the 2 tests I took. And that's the night I came to town, actually.
Right.
I went right into the jail and talked to them about it.
Okay. Well, if you get what you believe to be a malfunction, you need to be at the jail within 15 minutes
All
to
right.
take a PBT there to determine whether you're positive or not. If it does malfunction, we'll swap it out for a different one.
All right.
Okay, I don't want any false readings in this case because your bond could be revoked based on that. And then you might sit in jail until we can get to court. So in order to avoid that happening, if you believe you get a reading in error, you need to report to the jail within 15
All right.
minutes. All right. I'll continue the bond with the same conditions. It will be your obligation to sign a release to get the assessment results to the court before sentencing. So make sure you not only sign a release, but you tell them to send a copy to the court.
All right, well.
Okay? Anything further, Ms. Denholm?
Not in this matter, Your Honor.
Mr. Noble? Okay, thank you. You're free to go. Next matter is
For today.
People versus Robert Casey Holmberg, file number 2107 120. Any resolution of this matter?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the people will be offered a plea of guilty to count 2, which is the operating while impaired. And that would be dismissing operating while intoxicated.
You.
And as the court's aware, the penalties are the same for both of them. As far as people know, the only difference between the two is the Secretary of State is a little more generous with the ability to keep a license with the operating while impaired.
Okay. Is that the accurate statement of the plea agreement?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please state your full name, sir.
Robert Casey Holmberg.
Is your mailing address 1167 N Oak Street, Manistee?
I thought we discussed this last time and it being 827 S County Road 442.
Yes,
Okay.
we did. And I have that written in the file. So we'll make sure that
Okay.
if that hasn't been changed. in
That
the
would be my
system.
parents' house, which I mean
Okay.
isn't the end of.
Thank you. What is your date of birth?
11/7/1994.
Thank you. Did you receive the advice of rights form today?
I did.
Did you read and understand all of the rights listed on that form?
I did.
And did you sign and date it?
Yes.
Do you understand by accepting the plea agreement that you'll be giving up all the rights listed on the advice of rights form and there will not be a trial of any kind? On behalf of your client, what plea does he wish to offer to operating while impaired?
Defendant offers a plea of guilty to count 2 pursuant to the plea agreement.
Is that guilty plea entered with your consent, Mr. Holmberg?
Yes.
Other than the plea agreement as stated here today on the record, has anybody promised you anything in exchange to get you to plead guilty?
No.
Has anybody threatened or forced you to get you to plead guilty?
No, sir.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily and of your own choice?
Yes, sir.
Were you operating a vehicle on County Road 442 back on July 24th in Inwood Township when this happened?
Yes.
What type of vehicle were you operating?
Buick Sabre.
Was this your vehicle?
Correct.
Do you know why the police pulled your vehicle over?
Yes, I called in after an accident.
You had an accident?
Yeah, and then,
Okay. Was anybody hurt?
no, sir.
Just property damage?
Just to my car, I suppose it was in grass.
You went off the road? Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, sorry.
And then, did you consume any alcoholic beverages before you went driving?
Yes, sir.
What and how much?
Beer and 6 to 7-inch.
And based on your arrest, did you take a chemical test?
Yeah.
Do you recall what the results were?
I did not get them back.
Was there a PBT?
I believe it was 0.14.
I'm looking for that in the report, Your Honor.
They write it citation.
It's in here. 143.
Okay.
Okay.
There it is, right at the bottom.
Are you satisfied with the record, Ms. Van Holm?
I am, Your Honor.
Are you also Mr. Noble?
People are satisfied in this case, Your Honor.
The court is satisfied that your guilty plea was knowingly, voluntarily, and understandably made, and that there is an accurate factual basis to warrant a finding of guilty because on the date and location alleged in the complaint, you did operate a motor vehicle and you did, after consuming a substantial quantity of beer, your blood alcohol was over the legal limit. Therefore, based on those facts and the reasonable inferences the court makes from those facts, that you are guilty and a judgment of guilty will be rendered to impaired driving. Do we have a substance abuse screening yet on this case?
We do. That's the one I gave you in the office.
Yeah, here it is. They're not recommending any further.
No, this is a true first offense for Mr. Holmberg and apparently a real wake-up call for him.
Anything else before sentencing?
He has no criminal record whatsoever. He's gainfully employed. He's generally a productive member of the community, and this is I think probably an aberrant behavior for him. It's been expensive, it's been embarrassing, and I am confident that he has learned from it. Would ask that the court impose the minimum in fines and costs and a minimal probation period. It's no jail.
Anything on behalf of the people?
Your Honor, there's $100 to police for the costs, $250 to the state, and $50 for the blood draw. So when Mrs. Denholm says this has been an expensive endeavor, it is. All drunk drivings are very expensive and only getting more expensive every day, it seems. That said, I don't see a reason this is true first. Never, best of my knowledge, had to deal with Mr. Holmberg in this arena, if you will. So I asked the court to make an appropriate sentence based on that, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Holmberg, is there anything you want to tell me that you want me to consider on your behalf in sentencing?
I don't believe so. I mean, they've said it pretty much. It was my choice, my mistake, and then you learn.
All right. Yeah, we lose good people periodically. And the other thing is, drunk driving isn't something you got up in the morning and said, you know, tonight I'm going to drink and drive. That never happens. So it's one of these things that it's difficult to let people know ahead of time that this is always a possibility in your life if you drink alcohol. It's usually at a time when you have to make a decision is when the thinking really matters. Like I say, we do lose good people from time to time. Every 50 minutes, someone is killed in a drinking and driving related traffic crash. That's a lot of people a year. And that's why the penalties are what they are. But I will take into consideration your good character and the fact that you have no record. So it'll be the sentence and judgment of the court that you pay fines and costs of $1,500. Did you serve just one night in jail?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And 1 day with credit for 1 day. Or 63 days. There's added to the fines and costs $250 for costs of prosecution, $50 for reimbursement for the blood draw fee, $100 to the police, and I'm required by law to add $125 in justice fees on every case. This will be added up. How much time do you need to pay that? It's probably going to be just under $2,000.
Probably a couple months.
If I give you 90 days, can you pay it within
Yes, sir.
90? Okay. Then you can have this behind you and you can move on with your life, having learned something really important that you can tell all your friends and family, don't be this guy. All right. Okay, good luck to you, sir. This will be put in writing and the staff will get a hold of you when it's ready.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. You're free to go.
Fines and costs.
Next matter is People versus Amanda Marie Zawatsky. This is file number 2107119 and file 2107112. These matters are both set for pretrial. Any resolution of these matters, Mr. or Ms. Denholm?
Yes, sure.
I believe so, Your Honor. I believe what's going to happen is the people are going to dismiss the failure to report accidents, which I believe is file 112. And in exchange for that, defendant will be pleading guilty in a separate case, but a separate incident to operating while impaired. That'd be count 2 and 119.
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
The board have the assessment in the file.
I do not.
I submit that.
So we'll be proceeding to sentencing today.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. One moment, please. Please state your full name. Is your mailing address still 8559 W 2nd Street, Manistee?
Yes,
What is your date of birth, ma'am?
7/27/88.
Thank you. You've heard the plea agreement. Is it also your understanding of a complete plea agreement? Did you receive the advice of rights form today?
Yes,
Did you read and understand all of the rights listed on that form?
yes,
And did you sign and date the form?
yes,
Do you understand by accepting the plea agreement and pleading guilty that you'll be giving up all the rights listed on the advice of rights form? And there will not be a trial of any kind.
yes.
On behalf of your client, Ms. Denholm, what plea does she wish to offer to operating while impaired as stated in file 119?
Defense offers plea of guilty to impaired pursuant to the plea agreement.
Is that guilty plea entered with your consent? Other than the plea agreement as stated here today on the record, has anybody promised you anything in exchange to get you to plead guilty? Has anyone threatened or forced you to get you to plead guilty? Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily and of your own choice? Were you operating a vehicle on Little Harbor Road in Thompson Township of Schoolcraft County back on July 22nd of this year? What type of vehicle were you driving?
Mazda 6.
Was this your vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know why the police pulled your vehicle over?
The police didn't pull me over. My brother saw me driving and stopped me.
Okay. And did you have any alcoholic beverages to drink before you went driving?
Yes.
How much and what?
It was whiskey, and I don't recall how much.
What was it?
Whiskey, Black Velvet.
And so you had a large quantity of whiskey before you went driving?
According to the blood draw, yes.
And what was the blood alcohol results?
0.155.
We have a PBT, Your Honor. I haven't seen the blood results back, but 154 is what I had, but she probably blew twice on it. And it's
Okay.
not on there. And the police report indicates that on that night, she indicates drinking a pint, I believe it said, or a half pint of Black Velvet.
Is that correct?
Probably. I made the mistake of mixing that into anxiety and blacked out before I remember getting the bottle. So
Okay.
I had a little bit, and then apparently I had another bottle, and I really, I really don't know.
All right. Are you satisfied with the record, Ms. Denholm?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Are you also, Mr. Noble?
Yes.
The court is satisfied that your guilty plea was knowingly, voluntarily, and understandably made, and that there is an accurate factual basis that warrants a finding of guilty because on the date and location alleged in the complaint, you did operate a motor vehicle after having consumed a substantial amount of whiskey and your blood alcohol was over the legal limit. Therefore, a judgment of guilty will be rendered to operating while impaired. Anything further, Ms. Denholm, on behalf of your client before sentencing?
Your Honor, Mr. Zawatsky, you're 22 at this point? How old are you?
I'm 33.
I'm sorry, 33.
Okay.
Okay, that's why I'm a lawyer in Nunn County.
I couldn't hear you, what?
She's 33 and she has no adult criminal history yet.
Okay,
So she's lived a productive life. She has a child who is in her care. She's employed, but she's working remotely, which allows her to live here with family. And so she's recently moved up here. She's gone through a period, I think, of adjustment and some changes in her family situation and her life situation, which led to some difficulties that she referenced. But I think, my understanding is that she's going to not only move forward, but she's taking some affirmative action to deal with those problems and those challenges. Specifically, she's already committed to undertake continued counseling with Ms. Tatro. So I have every confidence that she'll be able to maintain sobriety. She does have medications, as she referenced, and those are things that she knows don't mix, and so we're not doing that again. So I would ask that no court, or that no jail time be imposed, that minimal fines be imposed as well, because as the court can see, she qualifies for the public defender, and so resources, while they're there, are limited by the obligations she has for her maintaining herself and her child. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything on behalf of the people, Mr. Noble?
Your Honor, much like the last case, I agree. And as far as I know, this is the first situation where this defendant has had to appear definitely in front of this court and what appears to be other courts as well. That said, a couple of weeks before this, we had an incident where there was a car left around 2 a.m. in the morning. Now, I understand there's differences between leaving the scene of an accident and leaving the scene of an accident, right? But at 2 a.m., it's highly suspicious when a person leaves a car behind at 2 a.m. Why are we really doing that? There's a difference between 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. I understand the law is the same, but where I'm going with all of this is if prescription medications and if alcohol are going to become a problem or have become a problem, I think it would behoove the defendant to be on probation for a while, make sure that she's really doing what she needs to do with the counseling, make sure she's following through on that, because we don't want to, I really don't want to deal with her again. And unfortunately, if we don't get this under control, when I deal with back-to-back in about 2 weeks, that tells me we're headed down the wrong road. Let's get this back on the right road, so to speak. There's $50 for blood draw, $100 for police, and $250 cost of prosecution in this case, Your Honor. Beyond that, I leave it to the court. Thank you.
Thank you. Has there been any other assessments for specialty court or anything like that?
We will discuss that this afternoon.
Okay, all right. Anything you wish to state that you want me to consider on your behalf before we proceed to sentencing? Okay. Well, you probably heard what I said to Mr. Holmberg. I don't know for sure, did you? Okay, I won't repeat myself. All right, it'll be the sentence and judgment of the court that will be placed on probation for 18 months. Part of the conditions of probation are that pay fines and costs of $1,500. There's $125 in justice fees I'm required to add in every case. $250 for the cost of prosecution, $50 for the blood draw, and $100 for the cost of arrest to the police. $25 a month probation oversight fee. During your probation, you are prohibited from using or consuming any intoxicants, illicit controlled substances, or marijuana. You cannot be in the presence of anyone illegally using those. What you put in your body is your responsibility, and if you test positive for any substance or alcohol, that will be considered a violation of your probation. You are required to submit to a test at any time, follow all your counseling recommendations, sign releases so we can monitor your progress, and you are subject to a search at any time. Now, we do have tests that look back in time, even for alcohol. So are you on the Sentry system? Well, this case is, we'll continue that at this time. Anything further?
Nothing from the people.
You'll need to contact the staff and set up an appointment to meet over the articles of probation, so make sure our staff has your phone number that can reach you to set up an appointment.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, you're free to go. Thank you.
That ends my cases, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Plakowski, do you have a matter?
Yes, with Mr. Fleming.
Okay,
I think it was adjourned, I'm informed that it was adjourned, but he's here.
Yeah, I thought it was adjourned, but he's here, so, and it's also on the calendar, so I'm
Well,
apparently wrong.
yeah, it's not on the calendar. Apparently someone got a different date from the court, so we took it off the calendar, but since everybody's here, why don't we just do it?
I agree.
So we'll take
And I
a,
think we've got this settled.
okay, we'll take a short recess while I get the file, okay? Court's in recess. This is file number 2106090, People of the City of Manistee versus David Kent Fleming. Please state your full name, sir.
David Kent Fleming,
Is your,
7 North Second Street,
thank you.
Manistee, Michigan,
And what is your date of birth?
6/27 of 65.
And Mr. Pukowski, I don't know if you're here earlier, but on the, with the personal protection of identifying information, the date of birth has to be put on a separate sheet from the on. So there's actually in the complaint packet a sheet called personal identifying information. And
Is it the
that,
same one they use for probate?
no,
Oh,
this is
it's
the one we use. It's in the prosecutor here has all new forms. It's an extra sheet attached to the complaint packet. And so the date of birth being, and this technically was supposed to go effect on July 1st, but the Supreme Court postponed it until the end of the year. But we're all kind of getting ready for that. And then, but I still have to find a way to identify who's in the courtroom according to the transcript. So I usually use the date of birth, and then I ask the defendant, have you viewed the personal protection identification sheet? And so we'll be showing those to the defendant in the future, and if they acknowledge the information is true and correct, then that goes into the system, but it doesn't go over the airways or to the other people in the courtroom. So it's kind of a new rule that we're trying to work with here. And I'm finding a way, I still have to identify people that come before court. So the new procedure from now on will be for me to ask the defendant in all city cases if they viewed that sheet.
Very well.
Confirm that it's correct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Is there a settlement in this case?
I believe there is, Your Honor. I've just talked with Mr. Fleming briefly, but we've had discussions in the past. I stated that we would recommend that in exchange for a plea to count 2, which is the disorderly charge, we would dismiss count 1, which is the assault and battery charge. And that we would recommend, and I've explained this to him, this is ultimately not my decision, but that we would recommend no probation. And I think that's all the agreements that we have made. I don't know if Mr. Fleming is under any other impressions about this.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fleming, you've heard the plea agreement. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
He said there was no jail time involved in it either.
Oh, and I did recommend that, I'm sorry, I did recommend that there, we would recommend that there be no jail time, but again, we don't have any ultimate, the ultimate control of that. Fair enough.
Okay, thank you. Is that your understanding of the complete plea agreement?
Yes.
Okay, did you receive the advice of rights form? Did you read and understand all the rights listed on that form? Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay, and did you sign and date it?
Yes.
Do you understand by pleading guilty to count 2 disorderly person that you'll be giving up all the rights listed on the advice of rights form and there will not be a trial of any kind? Do you also understand by pleading guilty at this time that you're giving up the right to have a lawyer represent you? If you wanted one at public expense, the court would appoint one to represent you at no cost to you. Do you understand you're giving that up
Yes.
by pleading guilty?
Yes.
And Ms. Denholm is available in the courtroom if you wish to consult with her regarding your decision. Do you wish to do that?
No, sir.
All right. And what is your plea then to being intoxicated in a public place and endangering the safety of another or acting in a manner that caused a public disturbance in violation of the city ordinance? Are you pleading guilty to that charge?
To the disorderly?
Yes.
Yes.
As other than the plea agreement as stated here today on the record, has anybody promised you anything in exchange to get you to plead guilty?
No, sir.
Has anyone threatened or forced you to get you to plead guilty?
No.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily and of your own choice?
Yes.
On June 6th of this year, were you in the city of Manistee, Schoolcraft County when you became intoxicated?
Yes.
And what did you become intoxicated with? I mean, what were you drinking?
Beer.
How much beer did you have?
A little bit.
A lot?
I'm not sure how much, what the quantity was, but
But I
I had a
mean,
few.
okay, more than 10 or less than 10
I'd
cans
say,
of beer?
I'd say 8, 10.
8 to 10 cans of beer?
Yeah.
So you agree you were intoxicated?
Yeah.
Okay, and what did you do?
Started the whole thing was about 1.5 years ago. Him and I had gotten into it. My sister was over there at the time. I was working for Charlie Smith, which was next door. He come over and started screaming and hollering at me to pick up some stuff in his yard. I said, "Excuse me?" He says, "Yeah, you put that stuff in my yard." He says, "You're gonna pick it up?" He started calling me all kinds of names and stuff, and I told
Well,
him,
what did you do?
I didn't do anything. I was upstairs in the apartment next to his place
Like, this happened a while back, you mean?
about 1.5 years
Okay,
ago.
well, what happened?
Everything's been going escalating since. He
That's-
actually called, Your Honor, I've got text
Okay,
messages.
so you
from-
have a disagreement with your neighbor, Mr. Smith, is it?
No, I was working for Charlie Smith.
Oh, okay. So you were working for him, but what did you do on June 6th? I mean, this lot happened before that made you
Yes,
and him
He
kind
called, he texted my girlfriend's phone, which we have the texts, and telling me, he says, excuse my language, tell your faggot ass fucking boyfriend, if he wants his teeth knocked out, to come on over. You know, well, me being intoxicated, as everybody already knows, jump on my bike and head over there, you know. So
so what did you do there?
I didn't do anything there. As far as the assault, I did not assault no one or
Well,
anything.
what did you do?
I was screaming at him, he was screaming at me.
Were
He was
you in
trying to
the
get me-
street?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were intoxicated, you were in the street, and you were screaming at Mr. Smith
No, I was screaming at Dennis Goldie.
and Dennis Goldie?
Yes,
Why were you screaming at Dennis Goldie?
because he was the one that started the whole thing, ball rolling, as far as telling me,
All right, well, so you were angry at Dennis Goldie, and so what were you screaming?
just obscenities. I told him he was an asshole for, you know, doing what he was doing as far as texting and stuff.
Okay, if he had come out there, you would have gotten a fight with him, right?
Oh, he was out there.
Oh, did you get in a fight with him?
No, I didn't take my hands out of my pants pocket.
Okay.
I tried to get him to swing on me.
So you were
Yeah, I was-
goading him into getting into a fight with you so you could beat him up.
No, he was goading me. On the
You were
text
goading
message.
each other, come on,
Yes, yes,
okay?
yes.
All right. So you were basically instigating a disturbance there by going to that property and engaging in a verbal exchange of obscenities and goading each other into a fight. That a summary?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you satisfied with the record?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. Court is satisfied that your guilty plea was knowingly, voluntarily, and understandably made, and that there is an accurate factual basis that warrants a finding of guilty because on the date and location alleged in the complaint, he did become intoxicated in a public place in the street and got into an argument with another person, mutually goading each other into a fight. That's a manner that caused a public disturbance or endangering the safety of another. Therefore, a judgment of guilty at count 2 will be rendered. Anything else before sentencing?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Do you have anything you want to say?
You know, I'd just like to say as far as following the recommendations of Mr. Pukowski's, I mean, since this has happened, there's been nothing as far as, you know, any incidents with him or I never spoke to one another or anything like that. So I honestly don't think there should be any probation either, but
Okay.
that's,
Well, did you serve any jail time?
yes,
How much?
1 day. And,
Anything else?
no, that's good.
All right. Well, I've probably said this to you before, Mr. Fleming, but there should be a pretty clear picture in your mind about what happens to you when you become intoxicated.
Like I said, Your Honor, since this, I've been going back to AA and stuff, haven't had anything to drink. I mean,
All right. Well, there is medically assisted treatment available if you wish to seek that.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna, of course, order it because I'm not going to place you on probation at this time. I can only tell you that the number of times you've been in court because you've been drinking is almost uncountable at this point. And there's gonna be a point next time where I'm just gonna say, you know what, just do your time. And not follow any recommendation on sentencing, I'll just give you the maximum. And that's coming around the corner, and I just want to be fair with you, to let you know
Okay.
what my thinking is. Because according to your record, you definitely deserve it. So if not for anybody else, do this for yourself. It'll be the sentence and judgment of the court that you pay fines and costs of $250 and 1 day with credit for one, for 25 days. There's state justice fees of $125 I'm required by law to add in every case. So it'll be $375 will be your total. Do you know how much time you need to pay that?
30 days probably.
All right. Give you 30 days to pay that.
And that was what, 300?
$375. I can't give you an extension on that. It has to be paid in 30 days or report to the jail to do 25 days. All right, we'll mail you a copy to the address you've given today. Thank you. You're free to go.
Thank you. Your
Thank
Honor.
you. Okay, we have some show cause hearings.
Yes. Time to use the restroom real quick, Doug?
Pardon me?
Do I have time to use the restroom real quick?
Yeah, we'll take a break.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any defendants set for 10 a.m. on the Zoom? If so, please unmute and speak up. Otherwise, a bench warrant could be issued for your arrest. We have a number of show cause hearings set for 10 a.m. this morning. I previously checked to see if anyone was on the Zoom. If anyone appears on the Zoom for court this morning, they need to immediately identify themselves to avoid a bench warrant. It should be noted that no one is in the courtroom. The court security officer checked the hallway and no one is in the hallway. The cases I'm about to proceed with have all been noticed for hearing today at 10 a.m. The court will proceed with People versus Matthew T. Astacio. This is ticket number X38-46257. Defendant has failed to appear on an order to show cause why he should not be held in contempt for speeding 1 to 5 over. Court will issue a bench warrant. Set bond in the amount of $250. Next matter is People versus Leonard Allen Brusso. Ticket number X3799610. Defendant was also ordered to show cause why he should not be held in contempt for failing to pay fines and costs on that charge. He's failed to appear. The court will issue a bench warrant and set bond in the amount of $130. Next matter is People versus Shaylin Renee Brunette. This is ticket number 8819. Defendant was ordered to show cause why she should not be held in contempt of court for failing to pay a citation for speeding 45 and a 35. Court will issue a bench warrant for failure to appear for the show cause hearing and set bond in the amount of $350. Next matter is People versus Mark Jarrett Cap. This is file number 6185. Defendant was ordered to appear to show cause why he should not be held in contempt of court for failing to pay fines and costs on a citation for an unregistered snowmobile with an expired registration. That was issued back in February. Court will issue a bench warrant and set bond in the amount of $310. Next matter is People versus Paul Lewis Hartman. This is ticket number 21X3862704 on a charge of illegal or fatigued driver's license, and an alcohol violation. Defendant has failed to appear on an order to show cause. Court will issue a bench warrant and set bond in the amount of $370. Next matter is People versus Stephen Michael Hislop. This is ticket 21X38588379. Defendant was ordered to show cause why he should not be held in contempt of court for failing to pay citation on a registered plate expiration ticket. Court will issue a bench warrant for failure to appear. Bond in the amount of $260. Next matter is People versus Jeremy John McDonald. Ticket number 20767873. Defendant was ordered to show cause why he should not be held in contempt for failing to pay fines and costs on the citation. Court will issue a bench warrant for defendant's arrest. We'll set bond in the amount of $400. Next matter is People versus Anna Lorette Mandrill. This is ticket number 21099926. Defendant has failed to appear. Court will set bond in the amount of $322. Next matter is People versus Eric William Marker. This is ticket number 216188. Defendant has failed to appear in an order to show cause why he should not be held in contempt of court for failure to obtain a snowmobile trail permit. Court will issue a bench warrant and set bond in the amount of $250. Next is People versus Caitlin May McGee. It's file number 21X3820691. Court will issue a bench warrant for failure to appear and set bond at $322. Next is People versus David Lee Polar Jr., file number 21X3887462. will issue a bench warrant and set bond in the amount of $240. Next is People versus Richard Earl Thayer. This is ticket number 21X3A22474. Court will issue a bench warrant for failure to appear in the amount of $240. Next is People versus Brent Richard Themmel. Ticket number 20X3694834. There's several charges here. Overweight vehicle and over width vehicle. Defendant has failed to appear. In order to show cause. Court will issue a bench warrant and set bond in the amount of $1,000. Next is People versus Pamela Jean Turner. Ticket numbers 21099933 and 21099935. On file 933. Court will set bond in the amount of $214. And 935, the court will set bond in the amount of $214. Next matter is People versus Bo Daniel Wastel. This is ticket number 21X3838393. Court will issue a bench warrant for failure to appear and set bond in the amount of $322. And the last matter is People versus Dustin Brian Williams, ticket number 21X3841289. Is he currently in the jail? Do we know?
I don't think so.
Okay. Court will issue a bench warrant on a civil infraction for no proof of insurance and set bond in the amount of $400. Okay, that completes the orders to show cause. Court will be in recess for today.